I'm not sure, even though it's her hometown, I'm not sure how much the governor will have daily knowledge of what the fiscal monitor is up to. You know, she's been handed a bunch of challenges, both by the Trump administration, by the previous governor, just by the economic realities of New Jersey, that even though for Montclair, this is a really big problem, I don't know if for Governor Mikey Sherrill, it will be on her like daily briefing list. You know, if there's a fiscal monitor that she or her Department of Education is going to appoint, I'm sure she might have some say over that, and she might have some interest in knowing what's going on, but I don't know if it's really going to be sort of like a daily thing for her.
Welcome back to the Montclair Pod. I'm Mike.
And I'm Farnoosh. And well, that was some snow. I mean, we still have the snow. And we're going to get more this weekend, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear. I'll get to experience it because I was away, as you recall.
Yeah,
so.
How was Amsterdam?
It was great. There was not a lot of snow. There's a little bit of rain, but it was weird being over there knowing that you guys are getting like pummeled with all of this snow. And I'm just like, that's too bad.
You were jealous?
I wish I could shovel today.
Don't be jealous. It was not fun. Basically, because we got so much snow, it was hard to leave the house. You know, people were like, oh, we're going sledding. And I couldn't do that because that meant like actually having to go walk somewhere to go do that. And we don't really live near a hill. Also, we got a bit of a leak coming through our house.
Oh, no.
From the precipitation. Yeah. So
a little precipitate.
Yeah.
Where's the leak? In the basement?
How much do you want to spend time on this topic? Because we had a recent leak in our basement unrelated to the snow. That's for another episode. Due to this snow, we realized, we actually knew ahead of time, but we didn't think it was going to be a huge crisis. Here we are. We have a little bit of a crack on the second floor roofing. And when the snow started to melt and the icicles started to melt, the water began to seep through that crack. And so, luckily, it wasn't a part of the house that we use a lot. It was the living room. And so we've moved a lot of the furniture out of the way. And, hopefully we'll get this resolved after the snow dries. But who knows when that'll be. But insurance will cover it. Let's hope. We had the estimator come in today.
Is it an adjuster, insurance adjuster?
I guess. What do you call? Someone from the insurance company came today and assessed the situation and believes that it will be covered by insurance. So let's see. To be determined. I'll stay tuned to find out how much my insurance company will actually pay us for the damage.
Yeah,
and then stay tuned to hear which contractors do a good job or don't.
That'd be an interesting segment. We should do that. Anyway.
Totally.
Well, just because I was overseas doesn't mean that I wasn't closely monitoring all things going on back here at home. I mean, we've got a special primary election coming up a week from today, and it is a very crowded field of Democrats, that is.
Yeah, 11 of them.
So check this out. They're running, these 11 people are running for the 11th congressional district. How crazy is that?
Dude, that's crazy.
Plus one Republican's running, so it's really 11 plus. And we're going to be talking about all of them with none other than Terrence McDonald of the New Jersey Monitor. And there are actually 11 letters in Terrence McDonald's name.
Really?
No, not really.
Okay, you're an idiot.
Yes.
All right, well, before we get to our rundown of the primary, brought to you by the number 11.
11.
There are a few recent school updates we should get out of the way.
Montclair schools, it's gonna be okay.
What was that?
That was our new schools theme. It was time,
What are the lyrics? Montclair schools is gonna be okay?
Yeah, Montclair schools, it's gonna be okay. And it was either that or Montclair schools, remember to breathe. And here's that one, actually.
Montclair schools, remember to breathe.
I think that's also a Sesame Street song that goes, ooh, breathe in, breathe out, ooh, right? Parents?
That sounds like Elmo years or something. I don't remember that one.
Listen, I'm not that far removed from those years.
Are you an Elmo? Was Elmo your favorite?
I mean, my daughter and my son. Probably, yes. I mean, weren't we all at one point Elmo disciples?
No, I was not. Elmo came after I was like a grown-ass man.
Okay, tell me you're old without telling me you're old.
I was all about Grover. I mean, Grover.
Of course you were.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I think both songs work, even though the first one I think was brought to you by the Montclair Board of Education. Trust us. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Speaking of, nothing like another Board of Ed town hall. They had one last weekend, and there were a few cans of worms opened up. The biggest can, perhaps, is that Superintendent Ruth Turner let us know that there's no guarantee that if we vote no to question 2 on the ballot on March 10th, that means we're not going to raise taxes by $5 million a year, that there's no guarantee that the state would step in and provide us with an advance on our state aid.
Yeah, and that seems like a bit of a change for a while. It seemed like if we voted no on question 2, the assumption was that we'd get a short-term advance. But now she's saying that that may not happen, that maybe the state monitor would come in and make cuts, maybe $10 million in cuts, which is a little weird because if we're down $5 million in funding, then why do you need $10 million in cuts? Unless, I guess, you're planning for the future, I guess. I'm not sure. But
there's been some criticism over this, actually, how we don't have enough information about what would actually happen from the state, in the event that we have a no on either of these votes, particularly on the second question. And I will just say that if you remember back in the fall, everybody was under the presumption, because the school district told us that if we got a no vote on question 2, that we would get an advance on our state aid. What ended up happening is we didn't have the election, and the interpretation was still that we would still get an advance on our state aid. We didn't get it. People were upset. Even the superintendent was like, yeah, this was a little bit of a glitch in the communication. They didn't quite explicitly say that there were contingencies to this advance on the state aid. It needed to be a no on the vote, not a no on the election. In any case, we got the money, some of it, right?
Didn't we got some advance for this year.
Right. We still had to do massive cuts. So I just think there's a little bit of PTSD in announcing what the state will or won't do. Even if the state says it will or won't do something, like there's probably some hesitancy to affirm that with the community.
It's very confusing.
It is very confusing. And the Montclair Local's intrepid education reporter, Asa Jung, did reach out to the school district to ask why the change in tone, right? Because before it was like, yeah, we'll probably get an advance in our state aid. Now it's more like we're not. The district did not give a response to the local last we checked.
Yeah, but at that meeting, they also talked about one of your favorite subjects, Farnoosh.
Yeah.
And that is the school calendar.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the school lunches.
Oh, that's another one. I don't know if that one came up, though.
Turner said that for the next calendar year, 2026, 2027, she's recommending we just observe federal holidays plus Yom Kippur. But one board member, Allison Silverstein, noted that Montclair's calendar was less inclusive than others if it failed to include Eid and Diwali, for example.
Yeah, I don't understand why it isn't just the federal holidays. And then if you need to take a religious holiday, maybe every kid gets a few excused absences for stuff like that. Wouldn't that be easier? I don't get it.
I've also heard from parents, why don't we dedicate some time during the day, during these non-federal holidays, to learn and celebrate these holidays? Obviously, the kids who need to observe it can stay home, no penalty. Everybody else, let's appreciate it in school, learn about it, as opposed to just telling kids to stay home and guess what they're going to do, go on their screens while their parents are multitasking at home if they're lucky.
But there's nothing easy about any of this calendar stuff. Never. It's always painful for some people. It's always complicated. But the 2025-2026 calendar does have all the holidays. Diwali, Eid, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, Lunar New Year. And that's despite the fact that according to a survey of 1,700 families that the district took last year, more than 76% of respondents just wanted the federal holidays off. So Turner basically wants to do that for next year, plus Yom Kippur.
I kind of like that she's still honoring that survey and the results from it.
Yeah. That is definitely noteworthy, though. I wonder why our special Jewish festival of guilt gets added to it.
Festival of guilt. Is it really a guilt festival?
It's almost. It's Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. Definitely considered by many to be the most holy day of the year. You're supposed to go to temple and basically repent for all of your sins from the past year.
Do you go and atone on Yom Kippur?
I mean, No, not really. I don't really go to temple for that. I just ask my wife and you for forgiveness for all things at this point, and that's been working pretty well for me for the most part. Although the one thing I really do miss from Yom Kippur is the breaking of the fast, because you're supposed to fast all day and then you break the fast in the late afternoon usually, and you get all sorts of bagels and lox, and it's like my kind of food. So sometimes I will go and break the fast even though I didn't really fast. I forgot to fast.
You don't need to fast to give yourself a few bagels.
You're
A
darn
few
right.
bagels. How many bagels will you eat after you fast?
I mean,
More than
I'm pretty
usual?
bad. I will do a full bagel and lox, and then what I'll do is I'll play mind games with myself, and I'll have a second half a bagel and maybe dig out the middle so it's not so much bread, right? And then so I'll eat that, and then I'll be like, well, I might as well have the second half of that half, but I'll also then dig out the bread. But usually then I've got a pile of bagel innards there,
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay. I'm sorry I asked. Okay, listen, we'll get you some bagels and lox, even if you don't do the fasting. I won't judge you. Other things that went down at the meeting. Ready? No
Mhm.
more volunteers at our schools for now. Some parents were stepping in to do hall monitor jobs and things of that nature. The Montclair Education Association, the MEA, the union, said, no, don't. That's against the agreement that we have with the schools, but they're going to be in talks.
Yeah. So it's amazing kind of when you think about this. Parents are not allowed to volunteer in certain ways at a school district that's so massively overextended that we've had to cut 100 jobs. Now, supposedly the district and the union are talking about how this kind of thing can be rolled out and take everyone's concerns into consideration, whatever the heck that means. But yeah, I don't know. No parents acting as security guards or hall monitors now.
Overheard in Montclair, a couple parents were like, Jesus, the district is like a co-op now with all the volunteering that the parents are doing to keep things afloat. And then you got this. So, everything's in flux. I get where the MEA is coming from. I also get, if you've got warm bodies in town who are willing to volunteer to fill in these gaps, we're in crisis mode. When
Yeah.
your house is on fire, we don't question the price of the water. That's
It's
a
just
saying in
I'm
my
sorry, you're not an approved fireman, so you are not allowed to throw water on that fire.
Sorry, can I see your union card, Madam Volunteer? Madam Volunteer. What union member wants to be a hall monitor,
I
actually?
mean, well, evidently some. I mean, if it's a union position and there's an agreement, I assume in the union collective bargaining agreement that says you're not allowed to replace these positions with non-union workers, I guess. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe we can finally get the MEA president on
I know,
the show.
this would be nice for him to clear up.
Well, speaking of clearing things up, there was another school town hall this week, not related to the budget because we don't have enough of those. Can we get another budget hearing, please?
I think we are. I think it's on the calendar. We have another one coming up.
I'm sure there is. But this meeting was actually devoted to new cafeteria menus across the school district. And Farnoosh, you did the Lord's work and you attended this thing virtually on Tuesday night. What did you learn? Is it true that Slushiegate is now officially a part of the Montclair lexicon?
Yes, Slushiegate is real. It is happening. Apparently, slushy machines have been newly installed in both middle and high school cafeterias. The kids are thrilled. The parents, they are sharpening their pitchforks.
Well, I want a slushy machine in my house. I mean, if they want to get rid of those slushy machines, then I have a home for one of them at least.
There might be a fire sale soon for those slushy machines. But let me back up for a minute because there is some context to this. So you may recall we all came back from the winter break to news that the district had switched food service providers. We were out with Southwest Food Service Excellence, SFE, and in came a company called Sodexo. Now, on the surface, this sounded great. I was pretty thrilled because Southwest had been controversial for a couple of reasons. One, the parents and the kids largely didn't love the food. My kids complained every day. Fridays, which were my day off to make lunch because Fridays were pizza day, the pizzas were not even good, according to my kids. So, come on, you can't even get pizza day right? Anyway, we knew this because both anecdotally and based on survey data, the food was not favored. It wasn't the top choice from the original family taste test, if you recall. And then there was the legal subplot, which we've reported on. The district is seeking more than $500,000 from an insurance carrier over a dispute with the former vendor. The district claims that the former business come on, Christina Hunt made an unauthorized contract change that led Southwest to seek over $500,000 in losses. Southwest, meanwhile, says they'd been dealing with infrastructure problems, including a lack of hot water in some of our buildings. It got messy, and at the meeting this week, Turner, our superintendent, summed it up when she said Southwest had, quote, technically divorced us.
So they were like, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign when your cafeteria provider breaks up with you.
Right. So now we have Sodexo, and pretty immediately parents started scrutinizing the menu because the reports started to come in after school. Mom, guess what? We're getting slushies. And so, naturally, parents started to question the nutritional value of some of the offerings.
Right. And within weeks, complaints started rolling in. Turner even sent out an email saying that while feedback was overwhelmingly positive, there were real concerns about some of the a la carte items, which brings us to Slushiegate.
Yes. At the meeting on Tuesday night, a parent stood up and just said it out loud. What is Sodexo going to do about Slushygate? Why are there slushies in our school cafeterias? And Sodexo's response was basically, we want to get the kids excited about our menu. We're new. We started mid-year. It's a little difficult of a transition. I think they're trying to get the kids to like them. The slushies, they cost about $2 and they come in a variety of flavors.
Do we know what flavors?
No, but a parent DM'd us and said she's going to get her kid to do a review for us. So
Sweet.
Stay tuned. I will say, though, that the elementary kids are hearing about this. They're jealous and they've been campaigning.
I'm not shocked at all. And by the way, if they want kids to get excited about the menus, let's talk about that, because I think there are other things besides slushies. Hello fried chicken, right?
Now, the attendance in the room was pretty light, but I have to say, if you were there, if you're one of the, 9 family members there, you came prepared. And honestly, credit where it's due. The Sodexo reps were incredibly patient with the Montclair parents. I did laugh more than once, because imagine finishing a presentation about how deeply you care about nutritional value, and then a hand shoots up and someone asks very calmly, can you explain this walking taco my child has been eating?
Walking tacos. How much protein is in a walking taco? I'm curious.
Protein.
Can you explain for the uninitiated what a walking taco is, actually?
Well, I was today years old when I learned what a walking taco is. But yeah, for the uninitiated, it's a taco in a bag, or it's also known as a Frito pie. It's basically taco meat and toppings poured directly into a single-serve bag of chips. Because when you're a third grader at Edgemont, lunchtime is a busy time. You don't got time to sit down and eat a taco. You got to be walking around eating a taco. You eat it with a fork while walking. Anyway, it's popular, I guess, at concession stands, parties, Super Bowl parties, and now,
yes,
Montclair school cafeterias.
It's a great Super Bowl thing. I think we had them at a Super Bowl party either last year or the year before. Yeah, they're fun. It's just so hilarious, the idea in a public school of all these kids walking around with Frito meat bags. We want kids to get excited. So, we've actually added gummy bears. We've noticed a 13% increase in excitement when you add gummy bears to the taco meat.
We got to distract them from the fact that they're no longer learning Spanish.
This technically counts as part of the Spanish curriculum. It's not quite Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Bag Thursday, and it gets you 3 credits for your language requirement.
It felt like an SNL sketch at times, I'm not going to lie. And I say that lovingly. This stuff matters. Nutrition is very important. But there are moments where you could feel, kind of bigger frustrations bubbling up through the slushy discourse. And I think you and I, as we were talking about it afterwards, you said it. This feels like a little bit of displaced frustration and anger.
I think so, 100%. Everybody who is mad about the slushies and the tacos, I have to imagine some of the anger about the deficit and our financial situation is probably presenting itself in this way. They'll realize this about themselves sometime later. I feel like somebody's going to be in therapy and be like, I don't know why that taco situation got me so angry, but I just lost it on that poor Sodexo man. And then I realized it's because I have not yelled at anybody about our taxes potentially going up and our school deficit. That I think there's going to be That's going to be a common refrain in therapy across Montclair, New Jersey this week.
We also learned that so far, the district has not found an alternative location for our February 6th special election for the NJ-11 congressional seat or our March 10th special election or any election, really.
Yeah. The county put the kibosh on that one, which is a little sad. There are many places you could hold elections in town, like not just schools, but you could do it in libraries and maybe the Mills building, empty storefronts, who knows? But for now, these elections have to be in the schools, which means we have to close the schools down during the days when these elections happen. And even though these elections are only happening in like one room, it's kind of crazy, right? But there are all these rules in terms of people having access to schools when kids are in there. So I guess this is the best they can do.
Talking rooms. What are you even talking about? When I go to vote, the school that I'm assigned to, it's just the hallway in the beginning. It's just the hallway when you walk in. There's no classrooms being used. There's no auditorium being used. It's literally just the lobby.
For us, the middle school, because I go to the middle school in Upper Montclair, I guess, Buzz, they put us in like the little gym, I guess. Yeah, but it's just weird because we don't go beyond that. It's like you go into the gym, then you leave. It's like you're barely in the school. So it's crazy that they can't use more of it.
Well, since we are closing the schools for next week's special primary election, let's make the most of it and figure out who's actually running. Here's the continuation of our conversation with Terrence McDonald of the New Jersey Monitor from last week. Here we discussed the very crowded field of candidates. How many, Mike? Was it 9?
11. This one goes to 11. This election goes to 11.
He begins with the significance of the seat. Here's our conversation. From a political standpoint, how major is this opening and why does this seat matter beyond North Jersey?
Well, it matters because just the makeup of the district makes it a likely Democratic seat, even now that there's basically no incumbent, right? Usually that's the best time for a party to flip a seat is when there's no incumbent because incumbents have like this advantage at the polls. So there's no incumbent now, but the boundaries of the district really make it a super safe seat for Democrats. And there are 11 Democrats vying in the primary, which is going to be on a Thursday, which I think is important to note. People are not used to voting on Thursdays, but it's going to be on Thursday, February 5th, if I'm correct, Jets.
You're right.
And the general election, so whoever among the 11 candidates, Democrats, wins the primary, goes up against the sole Republican who's running in the April election, which is also going to be on a Thursday. I mean, I think it matters outside of the district because the margins of the Republican majority are super slim right now, right? And so, any bit helps. I think they just lost another Republican in Congress. So any little bit helps. And this year in November, when you guys are going to have to vote for this seat again, because this is just to fill out the rest of the vacancy, which ends in January. So in November, this is expected to be a pretty good year for Democrats. There's a lot of anti-Trump sentiment evident by our governor's race last year. And so Democrats really hope that they can take over Congress. And this will just be another person who could help do that, whoever wins, unless it's the Republican.
Is it odd that there's just one Republican running?
Sort of, but I think that Republicans see this as a super Democratic seat, and they may look at it and think, why bother? A Democrat is probably going to win this seat, so I don't want to take a chance. And so that's why there's a lot of Democrats running, because I think they think, well, this is my shot to get in Congress. There's no incumbent that I have to defeat, and, if I win this, I might win again in June.
Conversely, the Democrat seat is so crowded, the vying for that. Is that unusual?
I mean, it's unusual that there are so many candidates. Usually there are not 11.
Yeah.
But there's a mixture of factors. One is that it's a special election, so there will be so few voters voting in this that I think some Democrats think, well, this will be easier than if I were running in June when more people are used to voting. There's no county line anymore, so it's just a little bit easier for people who don't have like establishment support to potentially win. So I think that also helps encourage people to run. Also, this district has a lot of towns like Montclair where there are a lot of politically active people. And so those people want to run.
Including the candidates. And there's some pretty locally politically active candidates.
Right. Brendan Gill lives in Montclair and Lilia Mejia lives in Glenridge, just for example.
We would love to run through very quickly, like almost like speed dating through these candidates, all 12 of them, starting with our one sole Republican candidate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's start with Joe Hathaway. He's a Republican candidate.
Yes, he's the Randolph mayor. And he's, we haven't talked to him a bunch, but he's essentially a sort of, the Democrats are anti-Semitic and they're anti-business and they're pro-illegal immigration. And if you elect me to Congress, then, I'll help change that. That's sort of like his.
Is he aligning himself with President Trump vocally?
That's a good question. We haven't, because he's the only one running, and there are 11 Democrats, we haven't super focused on him yet. We'll probably wait until after the primary to talk to him a little bit more.
Fair enough. Well, there's a lot of Democrats to get through, so we might as well start, I guess.
Right. Shoot.
All right. So let's start with the local guy, Brendan Gill.
Right.
Who's been on our podcast before. He actually he used to he ran the campaign for Governor Murphy, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And he's got his own kind of political consulting company in town.
Right.
So tell us what you know about him, what his campaign has been like thus far.
Well, I want to start by saying that almost all the campaigns have sort of been the same because there's a lot of focus on Donald Trump and defeating Donald Trump. That's sort of like the reason for being for all of these candidates. I went to a meet and greet where they all spoke on the campus of Montclair State University in December. And that was sort of basically what everybody said. I'm the best person who can fight Trump. I've defeated Trump before, some would say. I'm best positioned to defeat Trump. Trump is really the sort of animating force behind literally every single one of these campaigns. In fact, one of them is a Trump impersonator sort of on the side.
Oh, yeah, we know him.
Brendan Gill is also big on fighting Trump. He also has a lot of support from establishment Democrats, meaning elected officials and other kind of leaders in the 11th district, especially in Essex County, but also in Morris County. I was just at an event of his on Sunday where Governor Murphy spoke because he's also got Governor Murphy's endorsement. So that's sort of Brendan Gill's deal. And his wife is an assemblywoman in Congress representing Montclair and other towns.
Very political family.
Tom Malinowski, former congressman. He's got the support of Senator Kim.
He sure does, yes. And he used to represent the 7th district, which is pretty far from here. In fact, his hometown is like an hour away. We passed it recently on our way to Lambertville. He says he's moving into the district. To be honest, I don't know if he's done that yet, but I think the idea is he was going to move to South Orange. He used to represent some of this district. Some of the towns out in Morris County used to be in the 7th district, and then they did some, rearranging, and that's one of the reasons why he lost re-election to Tom Kean. But yeah, he wants to get back in Congress, and he's running in this district instead of in the 7th.
Anything special about him in terms of his policies apart from must beat Trump?
I mean, to be honest, all the Democrats sort of have the same. It's really sort of like a personality race. They all sort of have the same policy ideas, and mostly what they're talking about is Trump.
Next up, Lilia Mejia, you mentioned her earlier, and she's got the support, I think, of Senator Bernie Sanders.
Correct. Yes,
and
Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez have both endorsed her, in addition to some other sort of very high-profile Democrats outside of New Jersey. She just did a big rally as part of Bernie Sanders' Fighting Oligarchy tour on the Willie P. campus on just the other day. I think that was Monday. She's sort of casting herself as like the progressive in the race, which is not a surprise considering she has the support of Bernie Sanders and AOC. Also says we need a fighter in Congress. We need a fighter for Trump. And she's really highlighting her community organization skills, community organizer skills. And not by name really, but criticizing some of the other candidates like Brendan Gill and Tom Malinowski for being like the establishment Democrats.
And how do they respond to that? Do they respond?
They've sort of, Brendan Gill has basically been like, look, they say I'm an establishment Dem. That just means that I have the support of the people who lead these communities, right? So he sort of turns it on his head and says, yeah, I have the support of people who've been elected by other voters in this district. And Tom Malinowski, he's sort of the same.
Do you feel like our county wants a progressive, given the nature of our politics now? It feels like to defeat Trump, the establishment is not working.
It really depends on which voters come out that day. I hate to weasel out of that question, but this is going to be a very, very low turnout race. Just so it's sort of hard to figure out who the voters will want because nobody knows who those voters are going to be that are going to remember on a Thursday in February, oh, there's an election today, I should go out and vote. So it really depends on which one of them actually shows up at the polls.
It doesn't feel like there's a huge get out the vote movement at least around here. Is there from the party?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm starting to see a lot of ads, and I know some voters in the district are getting a lot of flyers. So there's some effort to make people aware that there's an election. But I think the issue is that the election was just called, it feels like just weeks ago, because Mikey Sherrill only stepped down from the seat, at the either end of November or beginning of December. And there's just not a long runway for them to do all this stuff.
So those three that we just mentioned, Gill, Malinowski, Mejia, they're kind of the top tier three, would you say? The big three, the ones that have really been getting their names out there?
No, I think Tahisha Way is also probably among and I hesitate to say top tier, but yeah, probably. They're probably the ones who have a lot of the money. Tahisha Way is the now former Secretary of State and Lieutenant Governor under Phil Murphy. She did not get Phil Murphy's endorsement, but I think that was probably a timing thing. I think she probably just did not announce or express her interest to run until after Brendan Gill had already expressed his interest to run. And I think Phil Murphy's endorsement was sort of already promised to Brendan Gill. But she's out there spending money. She's got a big team. And, I don't know how high her name recognition is with voters because even though she's been Secretary of State, she only became Lieutenant Governor after the previous one died, Sheila Oliver. So Tahisha Way's name was not on the ballot with Phil Murphy either time he ran. So it'll be sort of interesting to see whether, voters sort of know who she is. But I would say she's probably in the top tier just because just because of her stature.
It's interesting going from a level like where was at, running within the state administration to a local political level. We've seen that before, obviously, in New York. We've seen, obviously, that happen. But what's your take on that? Is that typical in politics? They just want to stay in the game?
It's sort of typical. It's sort of typical. Christie's Secretary of State ran for governor. She was also the lieutenant governor. So yes, I wouldn't say it's unusual, but I do think it's sort of an entirely different game, right? As Secretary of State, she had this like sort of nonpartisan veneer where she couldn't really go out there and like bash Trump because she was in charge of elections, and so she had to at least like plausibly deny that she was partisan. Even though she was clearly a Democrat. And so now she's on the campaign trail and now she doesn't have that job anymore. And so now she's much more willing to sort of attack the president and Republican policies by name and specifically.
Interesting. All right. Next up, John Bartlett. He's a Passaic County Commissioner. Tell us what you know about him.
Not too much. Look, he's running as a guy who can get stuff done because I've been in office and I can do things. When he talked to voters at Montclair State University, he mentioned the Route 46, Route 3 sort of interchange thing that happened.
Yeah.
And use that as an example of stuff like that can only get done because people like me are like out there behind the scenes getting it done. So that's sort of his shtick.
That was quite an interchange. That took a while. That took a while. We have a nice little traffic circle there now.
What's crazy about that is I can't remember the last time because, when you're coming down on I guess it's Route 46 East.
Yeah.
And you pass, the old Six Brothers Diner and the McDonald's. They switched which sides, Route 46 or Route 3. I know. So for literal decades of my life, I would stay in this lane if you want to go onto Route 3. Literally switched it. One of the most bonkers thing I've ever seen. I'm not sure why they did that, but
that whole
I'm not even sure that it's made traffic better because I don't drive it every day. But every time I'm on it, it's sort of gridlocked.
It confused me a lot when they first did it. The interesting thing about that story was, what's the name of the bike? The Great Notch Inn. That bar right there? It's a biker bar right there.
Yes.
Like it was the only thing
Yes.
that did not get developed. They maintained it. They like carved out a box for this.
For sure.
I'm sure there's a documentary in there somewhere.
Yes.
Anyway, moving right along.
But yeah, he's sort of I can get stuff done guy because I've been in office for so long and I've been sort of behind the scenes doing stuff.
Jeff Grazel is Morris Township's deputy mayor. He's also running.
Right. What I'm going to say about the rest of the candidates is I mean, really, like I said before, with all the candidates, they've all got good bios. A lot of them who are local elected officials, like Mr. Grazel, are talking about how like I can actually do things. But truly, like I said before, the focus here is about fighting Trump, and I think they think that what voters in a special election in places like Montclair and Glenridge and Bloomfield want, or Democrats at least, is to get to D.C. and fight Trump or try to get rid of Trump in some way. They're not really talking about impeachment, as far as I know.
Or Terrence, get to D.C. and start fundraising.
What was that?
Or get to D.C. and start fundraising 4.5 out of your 5 days in D.C.
Right. Because whoever wins is going to have to run again in June because that's, voters here still have to elect the person who serves the next 2-year term. This is just to go to January. So whoever wins and maybe if somebody loses and decides, hey, I'm going to try again in June, this all happens again in June.
That's right. That's a huge point. All right. Well, then let's just go through the rest.
So we've
got
Jeff Grazel, we've got Chatham Councilman, the Chatham Councilman. He's Justin Strickland. We've got a community activist, Anna Lee Williams, Zachary Beecher. He's an Army vet. Cammie Croft. I think she lives in Montclair. She used to work for the Obama White House. And J.L. Colvin. He's the attorney and the part-time Trump impersonator.
Have you seen? I mean, he got huge like several years ago.
Right.
And like went very viral. He was one of the first like Instagram or TikTok Trump impersonators.
Yes.
And when I learned he lived in Glen Ridge, I was like blown away.
To be honest, when I saw he had announced, I thought he was running, like I thought this was part of the shtick. I thought potentially he's running as a Trump impersonator. But he's an attorney. And when he shows up, like when he was at this campaign gathering, he showed up as the attorney, not as his not as his Trump persona. So even though he sort of cops to being a Trump impersonator and having a big social following for that, he's running as like the serious lawyer who knows the law and can fight Trump.
Well, I was going to ask something about Colvin. Like, I think he was a public defender, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe that's the case. Mm-hmm.
So he actually did work, in state government in a sense, I suppose. That's interesting. That gives him a unique perspective, being a public defender, I assume in Essex County, if that's correct.
Right. He definitely highlighted his sort of work on behalf of low-income folks when he talks to voters.
Yeah. And God, I mean, if he gets that impersonation going on the campaign trail, I mean, there's no telling how much money he could raise. I mean, talk about fundraisers. I mean, he's got kind of a gift there in a sense that he's got this built-in kind of fundraising apparatus through his virality, I guess.
Possibly. I would wonder if donors who actually want to give money to this campaign maybe think, okay, that's funny, but I need somebody serious to go down there. Like, this is no joke. The Democrats in this district and nationwide are really pissed. They really dislike Trump. They really dislike his policies. I would bet that they're probably like, you're funny and I'll follow you on Instagram, but I'm going to give my money to this person because that's an activist or a community.
I don't know. In general, Democrats have not been good at trolling Trump in the way that he trolls them. And, you look at Gavin Newsom, who's gotten all of this buzz because of his ability to troll right back.
That's true.
Necessarily discount that skill. I think it could be critical at some point.
Riddle me this, Terrence. Is Bloomfield closing all of its schools on February 5th and later in March for the general election? Like we are suffering.
You know what? That's a good question. This is a blind spot of mine because I do not have children, so I do not keep up with that. But I'll ask around. I know that's a big problem. Because schools are sort of used to at least to closing on normal election days, or at least closing parts of the school because they know people will be in, say, the gym voting. But this is new to them. But I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I'm just wondering if we could have solidarity there, but TBD.
Every day is a school's off for me day because I don't have any kids.
Yeah. Are we good to wrap?
Can we interest you in 3?
2 + 1.
Yeah, mine is going to college next year. If you want to take that
I'm going to say no to that
cool.
one. The one who's going to have a college tuition bill, that's for sure.
Man, we got to do a whole episode on that, Mike. All right, Terrence McDonald, anything else you want to add to NJ-11?
No, I just want to make sure that voters know that it's a Thursday election. Thursday, February 5th is the primary.
All right, Terrence McDonald, thank you so much for coming back. As always, we appreciate you. Happy January.
Thanks, Terrence.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That was good. I feel like I've got a baseline understanding of this very crowded field right now. I mean, I still think that the comedian's the one to beat. He could surprise everybody.
We should have him on the show after the election.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, maybe we could do a regular interviewing Donald Trump.
We want to say that some of these folks who are running have reached out to us to be on the podcast, and we've said no to them, not because we're not interested in their platform or their ideas, but because, as we mentioned, there are quite a few people running. To make it fair, we'd have to have all of them on. We're a weekly show. We're only about an hour long. You can do the math pretty quickly. It wouldn't really work. Now, if there were fewer candidates, maybe we could have worked something out. So we leave it to the New Jersey Monitor. And thank you to Terrence McDonald again for coming on.
Well, now it's time for some news. You ready for some news?
Give it to me.
All right, you give it to me.
Okay. First up, there are just a few more days left to complete the town's transit survey. Did you even know there was one? Well, friends, you have the rare opportunity to let the municipality know what you want when it comes to mass transit. Specifically, they're considering potential changes to weekend and off-peak, non-rush hour weekday transit service.
And actually, they promised to share the results of this survey with New Jersey Transit, so they will be hearing about it. I feel like we're so close to getting weekend train service, don't you? I mean, it could happen, right?
It would be great. It would be great to not just have it be every 2 hours only from Bay Street.
Yeah, it would be nice. Anyway, well, there's a link to the survey in our show notes. And actually related to this, if you're wondering how all of those candidates we spoke to Terrence McDonald about feel about transportation in and around Montclair, we have some reading for you.
Yeah. Route, aka Restore Our Transit in Essex and the Lackawanna Coalition, sent out a questionnaire to all the candidates.
It asks things like how well public transit serves the district. It asks their opinions on congestion pricing, the Gateway Rail Tunnel, and so much more stuff related to transit here. So, but it's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of questions and there are a lot of candidates. So settle in for a nice long read with a hot cocoa or something. I don't know. Curl up on the couch and, you'll be there for a little bit. Or you can give it to
Gemini or ChatGPT to synthesize it for you.
I mean, you definitely could. Maybe, what you can do? You could give it to Google Notebook and it could actually create a podcast about their positions and you can just listen to it.
I'm sure it would be riveting.
We'll link to all of that in our show notes as well. If transportation's the most important issue for you, that will be bringing you out to the polls, and you'll definitely want to read this.
And more great news, another school district is deep in debt. Party! Party!
Perth Amboy, come on down. You're $13 million in debt.
This is actually very apropos because when you're waiting for the New Jersey Transit trains and it's like, next train, and then they go through all the stops. And, Perth Amboy is like in my head because what comes, what line is that? It's like, Maplewood, Perth Amboy. I'm getting it wrong. Yeah. But is that the crystal ball of all these? It's basically all the towns coming down the line, the New Jersey Transit line that will be, hopefully not, but
we just want you to know, Perth Amboy, that we don't just think of you when it comes to deficits and New Jersey Transit. We know that you're special in other ways too.
Hello, operator. Will you please get me the Acme Travel Service in Perth Amboy, USA?
Yeah. Well, Perth Amboy, come on down. You're $13 million in debt.
Should we play the
Yes.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Rod you when you need him. Good old Rod. According to NJ.com, New Jersey's state auditor found Perth Amboy's school district had a budget deficit of more than $13 million because local officials spent money the district didn't actually have, according to a report.
But then Perth Amboy shot back and released a statement to NJ.com denying the deficit is still in place and saying no current administrators did anything wrong.
Oh.
Quote, any suggestion that the current board or administration engaged in inappropriate financial conduct is false and irresponsible, the statement said.
Okay.
That sounds like it could get a little dicey. And it was like, that was a very strong denial, you know? We did nothing wrong. Nothing inappropriate.
Do you hear that in the
here.
background? That's my popcorn. That's popping. That's my Orville Redenbacher. This podcast sponsored by
Orville Redenbacher and Perth Amboy. Anyway.
So in case you're counting, and I am, there's us, Hackensack, and now Perth Amboy, and of course, plenty of other school districts that are in financial trouble in one way, shape, or form. Camden, Toms River, Jackson, Lakewood. Good old people of Montclair, you'll be happy to know that some of these school districts have deficits that make ours look like pocket change.
And, you know, there was even news out of Hackensack this week. The city of Hackensack is stepping in to provide the school district with some money. The mayor of Hackensack has proposed a $6.5 million emergency funds transfer to the school district because that district is looking at a $17 million deficit. And that is a lovely gesture. It doesn't cover the whole thing, but it's not nothing. I mean, it's $6.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, critics will say you can't compare that to Montclair. We don't know what's going on in their city's budget. We know here, at least what we've been told, is that there's no more money left to give our school district. But as we discussed last week, it's not even about the money. It's just about coming together to create a solution. Maybe it's not, hey, we're going to give you more money from our budget, but maybe we can think about new revenue streams dedicated to supporting our schools instead of mostly just the property taxes.
Yep. It would be nice. It would be nice. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
By the way, we have reached out to the town to see if Stephen Marks is available for a catch-up.
And Superintendent Turner has agreed to come on when we asked her directly. And I think she's gonna serve us lunch, possibly at one of the school cafeterias. We're very excited for that.
All right, time for one big thing.
All right. Well, I'll go first, I guess. My big thing for this weekend is my dad's first cousin, Cousin Honey, has a big birthday. Shout out to Cousin Honey, who is turning 97 years young. And we're going to a restaurant in Long Branch. It's one of those train places.
It is.
You know, you
I can hear it in my head. I can hear it, when I'm at the transit station.
That's right. So we're going to a place called Rooney's, and it's got seafood, and I'm excited to celebrate Cousin Honey's 97th, and me and Dad are going to go on a little road trip, so down to Long Branch. Is that
her legal name?
Honey? Yeah. I don't know is the real answer.
You know what? You can ask her this weekend. And
yeah, sure. That'll be nice. She always calls me Doll. Hey, Doll.
Honey, is that your mobster given name or is that just a term of endearment? Okay, so my one big thing, both my kids are out of preschool, but I think I'm going to stop by the preschool info session at the Montclair Public Library this Saturday afternoon. I'm going to bring my mic to talk to some parents and the admissions people there. Maybe turn it into a segment for the pod. We have people in our audience that are in that life stage that would be curious to know about the options out there. So I will be working on Saturday while you will be feasting with Honey. Don't be jealous.
I might go there with you.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
great.
I'll go. I mean, I can't let you go without me if I'm not at the birthday. I mean, I would feel bad. I was actually in the park walking Duke today in the snow and was just chatting with another parent who has younger kids. And I was like, oh, how old? She was like, oh, 8 and 10. And how you feeling about things? We're not sure. We're going to get through elementary and then we don't know what.
Oh.
We don't know if we're going to stay for middle school. And then she started quoting all sorts of stuff back to me that we had reported on. And I was like, which was nice.
Well, we have been feeling as though this show has been entering the Montclair zeitgeist a bit.
A little bit. The school zeitgeist.
The school zeitgeist. Like reading the Facebook posts and just hearing some of the terminology people are using, I feel like repetitive to what we've been kind of saying on the show. And who knows what came first, chicken or the egg? Because I feel like we all share a brain at this point with the community.
Yeah.
But it's great to see. It's great. I think it's reinforcing to us that, we're in this together. We hopefully have some audience members who listen and trust and believe our reporting and also appreciate our POVs.
Yeah, I appreciate
I think we're moving the needle a little bit.
Yeah, that needle's getting moved.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you so much. By the way, we have a newsletter. You can subscribe. Just go to montclairpod.com. We would love to hear what you think of the show. We haven't gotten a review in a minute. So we would love to hear from you. The best way to do that is go to the Apple Podcast player. We know not everybody listens on Apple Podcasts, but they make it the easiest for everyone to leave a review there. And maybe we'll shout you out on the next show.
Please, leave us a message and we'll read it, and we'll hire a famous stage actor to read your message. Like, what do you think of that? Oh, we could probably get somebody in town, like...
Oh, DMC.
Oh, maybe DMC maybe he would rap it. Maybe he would rap your comment. Maybe that will happen.
All right, well, stay tuned. All right, everyone, thanks again. See you in town.
See you in town.
Is that her legal name?
Honey? Is it her legal name? No, it's not.
We're so nosy. I'm curious, 100 years ago, were people naming their kids Honey? I need to know.
Well, my grandma was also called Honey, but her real name was Corinne. But now I'm freaking out.
Sorry, I've opened a Pandora's box in the Schreiber family.
Yeah, let's cut all this. Yeah, I don't know. Is the real answer.
You know what? You can ask her this weekend. And
yeah, sure, that'll be nice. She always calls me Doll. Hey, Doll.
Honey, is that your mobster given name, or is that just a term of endearment? I mean, I believe it. What am I going to do? It was an innocent question. You turned it into something much weirder.